I believe we are live.
Wonderful. So I think we have Shrikar. Am I pronouncing your name right?
Yeah, it's Shrika.
Hi, Shrikar. So just like I was telling Shreya, it would be great if all of us could get on a similar platform. Just introduce yourself in a little bit and tell me who you are, where are you from, what do you plan to do, so that it makes the whole process a little more communicative.
Sure. My name is Shrikar. I'm from Connecticut in the US. I'm currently going to 11th grade starting September 2021. And I'm interested in the overall field of engineering, maybe aeronautics, some maybe robotics. I'm yet to figure that out.
Okay, robotics or aeronautics. We understand that these are relatively connected, relatively disconnected fields. Figuring it out will be a little difficult, right?
Yeah, is they're
But
very intercorrelated.
in a way, yes, because they share a stem from mechanical. But then in a way, no, because a lot of robotics includes AI, machine learning, software also, whereas aeronautics includes more of dynamics and static dynamics and kinematics, basically the mechanical physics part of things,
Mhm.
right? So in a way, yes, they are interconnected somewhere, but then in a way that you have to figure out which side are you more inclined towards.
Yeah.
All right, just give me 1 second, Shreya. I am.
Of course, and in that time, I think it would be nice to make a proper introduction of you to the internet. So, Sherry, do you want to go ahead?
So Mr. Atin is an international certified career coach who has been associated with the education and ed-teach sector for more than 5 years. Mr. Atin has also worked with India's leading career counseling organizations as a career coach and marketing expert. Today, he continues to help students realize their true potential, giving them the tools and confidence to reach their dream careers.
Thank you so much, Sharvari. All right, so with that said, Shreya, I don't think I have uh, screen sharing rights here. Could you help me with that?
Yeah, how about now?
All right, now I do. Perfect. Perfect. All right, you guys can see the screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first take you guys through the presentation and the different options that people have, because this, if I put this afterwards, then we may overshoot the time limit. So once we are done, I'll open the floor to questions. It's going to be very easy since it's not a lot of us. You guys have any questions regarding timeline, regarding COVID, regarding options, regarding eligibility criteria, just feel free to throw those questions my side, right? And I'll try and take care of as many questions as I can. If not, I'll share my contact details, which you guys can follow up with, and you can, like, anyone who wants to connect with me can do the same. Fair enough? All right. So when we talk about careers, what we want to understand is that there are so many things that have changed. The age difference or the tech difference, or the okay, the best thing is the generation gap that used to exist between your parents and their parents is significantly smaller than the generation gap that exists between you guys and your parents. All right, because the amount of development that has happened in the field of technology is tremendous. So let's take this slide for example. All right, now these are some of the most trending careers today in today's time. Let's ask, like, what do you think is the most common thing between all of them? The question is self-explanatory, so give me your answers. What do you think is the most common thing?
Tech.
Technology.
They're all related to new technology fields.
All right, fair enough. But there's also another thing, is that none of these careers existed about 12 years back. None of them. Probably ethical hacking had started coming in because the onset of software. But AI, machine learning, there's a good meme that I've been seeing for the past couple of months on one of these meme pages. that about 10 years back, there is a journalist who's in a helicopter and he's recording a news footage. And 10 years down the line, there's a drone doing that. So just in a span of 10 years, the journalist and the cameraman and the pilot both lost their jobs. So getting me how technology has suddenly started zooming in and taking over the world. So whether it's UI, UX design, whether it's machine learning, AI, and I hope if any of you don't understand any of these terms here, feel free to make a note of that. Ask me when I'm done with this. Don't don't hold back on any question that you don't understand or you're curious to know more about, right? So moving on, the world is changing. Are we, like I said, because technology is creeping in the world so nice, so intrinsically that today, if you read up on articles, there is a Japanese company which, so, these careers where we think that only human beings are, can do this job, technology can, for example, painting a picture, for example, writing a blog, writing an article, or doing so. So these things which we think are human based and cannot be taken over by technology, think again. There are companies who are building AI softwares, machine learning softwares, which are literally writing articles better than human beings. Their English is on spot. Because you can today, with the help of data analysis and big data sciences, you can literally factor in what people want to listen to, what people want to read, what are their emotions like, factor that in a software, teach the software how to write, and there you go. You have a blog writing software. So anywhere which you think that, okay, humans were doing this, you think fighting cases is human centric and lawyers cannot be replaced. Again, think again, boss, what are you guys doing? You're feeding yourself a bunch of data. You're arguing with somebody who also has a bunch of data fed into them with different perspectives. All you need to do is teach a software what is the difference between perspectives, teach the software both the sides of the coin, and then program it to focus on one side of the coin. And your software is ready to be the devil's advocate as well as to fight the other side of the case. Right? So I'm just saying that you need to be equipped with the technology that is coming in every day. And you guys, more than actually, it's easy for you guys to keep in touch with all of this because you guys were born into the age of technology. You guys were born into this time where all of this was already there. Whereas for somebody like me, we used to feel proud about the fact that, Orkut came in front of us, Facebook was invented in front of us, and social media had seeped in. Okay, fine, it came in when we were there. But now we're so comfortable. I mean, it was a big task for me to switch from Facebook to Instagram. Today, I don't use Facebook at all. I mean, I don't think I get any response to any post also that I post to Facebook. But at the same time, it was difficult for me. Until date, I cannot use Snapchat. I mean, I tried, trust me, but the way that school people are using Snapchat and all these other applications and Reddit and all of those things, I think I'm so comfortable with Instagram and Quora, probably Reddit also, now that I'm like, okay, writing and stuff. But these kind of things make an impact. How comfortable are you with technology? So reiterating again, make sure that you keep yourself updated. Don't limit yourself to learning to whatever your school is teaching you or to whatever your curriculum is to teach you. Anything that is related to what you want to do in life, what you want to get to, anything that is related, just pick it up, read, listen to it. There are podcasts today, there are videos today, there's text today. Any format that works well for you, pick it up, learn. That's the only way that you can keep in pace with the world. All right, why do we need to do all of this? Because like I said, careers trends are changing. The global climate is making a lot of change. Like we all know how soon, we don't know, right? But we know that ice caps are melting. Global climates are changing. Even in India, US, everywhere climate is changing some way or the other. We're feeling that change. So obviously because of that, things are going to change now. COVID has taught us like suddenly that it's not important for everybody to go to office. So many employees can just sit at home and work. There's no need for people. Education systems are being revamped today, yaar. Forget everything else and this is where you guys can also relate to the fact that how you guys were brought up going to school and everything. But now that you can't, the schools have come to your houses. It is uncomfortable. It's not very fun to be sitting alone in your room and studying, of course. But imagine the next generation of students coming in who will be starting their school sitting at home. For them, it'll be a whole new experience going to school and interacting with different people, right? So everything can be put to change. Your job is to be ready for it. Be okay with whatever is happening, but at the same time, be ready for any change that can disrupt the current scenario. What are the different things that you need to adapt, like social intelligence, critical thinking? Just go through this. It's not something that's rocket science. The only thing, like everything that I've already explained to you, we need, okay, probably cross-cultural competence is something that I need to focus a little bit on. That and I think it's more on a global scale in countries like the US, Singapore, Australia, there already exists a lot of cross-cultural competition because we already have various people from various walks of life interacting with each other. But again, okay, India also, maybe we have that in big cities like Bombay, Pune, Delhi, Bangalore. But then even if you look at the core of things, there are so many people where you'll find that South Indians don't understand the traditions of the North Indians. Northeasterns are living their own life. People don't give people don't give the effort to try and understand things, how people are living. Empathy, basically the entire crux of this cross-cultural competence. Google this word, understand its difference from sympathy, understand it's different from kindness. Empathy is one of the most important traits that you guys can teach yourself. Basically, it means forgetting, unlearning everything that you have taught yourself, your society, your elders have taught yourself, and understanding somebody else's problem from their perspective. Somebody going through something, maybe a very trivial or tiny issue to you, but from where they come from, that issue may just be a whole world apart of the matter of life and death, right? So never discard anybody's issues because you don't feel that they're big enough or small enough. Teach yourself this trait, various ways to teach yourself this trait. But first step, understand what it is. Social intelligence also on the similar lines, understand your society, how it's growing, how can you be a part of it, how can you contribute to its growth. Critical thinking is basically analyzing different issues together, putting them together, breaking them into smaller goals and analyzing each step differently so that you can reach a bigger picture, and so on and so forth, right? Moving on. uh, Again, some more things that you should be knowing about. I think I won't get into everything. Cognitive lead management, virtual collaboration. I've already spoken about design thinking, transdisciplinarity. Okay, this is something you guys need to understand. In today's world, again, at your age, probably specializing into something makes sense. And yes, because we need to put ourselves into some of the other industry segment. But at the same time, when you grow up, when you come up to your age of, let's say 30, 35 years old, you'll realize that the bigger you get into your segment, the more general you'll have to become. You cannot be focused onto one stream and expect to grow, because when you grow in an organization, when you grow in a career, you're expected to take care of multiple things. For example, let's say somebody starts their own business, all right, even if they start their own law firm, they will not just be taking litigation, like they'll not just be expected to go to court. They will also be responsible for giving salaries to their employees. They will also be responsible for filing taxes to the government. They will also be responsible to taking into accounts how much they're spending on marketing their law firm, how much they're spending on their salaries, how much they're spending on taxes. So basically keeping a book system. So if you're not, you can obviously hire specialists to do this, but unless and until you're aware of everything, you will be you'll not be able to take care or manage something as huge as you would be able to if you're a generalist. So always understand the importance of interdisciplinary learning. Just because I'm doing something on one particular line doesn't exempt me from learning about other things. Learning is always a continuous process. Please take care of this. Learning doesn't stop when you get your degree. Learning doesn't stop when your school ends. Learning doesn't just because I've graduated now now my job is to work. No, your job is to learn, keep yourself updated so that you can grow. Otherwise you'll get stagnated. You will not be able to grow, because in today's world, trust me, it's cutthroat competition. There are so many of us today in the world that all of you guys living in India, you are already aware of the cutthroat competition in every field. People living abroad also make a good note. People from countries like China and India, we're very competitive. We're on our way to take your jobs.
I think we may be having some internet issues today. So in the meantime, why don't we talk a little bit about the cross-cultural things that he spoke about? Because I can definitely relate to that. I mean, not just that I'm in the US. I think the town that I live in, it's a very mixed town, and I think that really helps. Because I'll give you an example. Like in my school, when you go down the halls, you won't just hear English, you'll hear Spanish. And that might not be so surprising to somebody growing up in an Indian school where there's lots of languages, but here that's really surprising. And I think that's really important because it teaches you how to empathize and how to connect with people who you don't completely relate to. And I think that's an important skill to have.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that because we're becoming a more globalized world that depends on each other, we should learn about other cultures and, maybe learn about other languages that help us to work in different scenarios or in different countries, because many jobs that you think, oh, I only need to worry about living in America or whatever, as an example, you might need to go abroad. You might learn things abroad.
Wouldn't that be so cool to intern abroad and just live abroad and be it'll be very uncomfortable, but that's kind of fun.
I was, I was going on those like college virtual information sessions or whatever, and they were talking about how they have those opportunities now. Like you can intern abroad or do research abroad or study abroad and all of that. And I think it's so cool.
The uncomfortable position, and then you just learn so much more, and then you're like, and then you grow your comfort zone. Like my teacher kept telling me, oh, so you have a small comfort zone, and then you try something new, and then your comfort zone grows, and then you keep doing it more and more, and then you just grow so comfortable with being uncomfortable, and that's beautiful. Hi, Atin, can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'm so sorry. It's raining heavily here for some reason, and I had a 1 second power cut, and my internet just pulled off. So sorry for that.
That's okay.
I will get my presentation back on.
And in that time, we were talking about the cross-cultural information we spoke about.
You were okay. So you guys understand the importance of that, right? Because because in India it's a very new concept of liberal arts, right? And people don't, like, the parents are not very comfortable for their children to be learning a little bit of everything, which I think is a very big problem. Because when we try and specialize our kids into all those things which have basically which are very specific to one particular career or anything, it just leads us to forget about, because any which way, what as students we are trying to do the bare minimum when it comes to studies, right? We're trying to just get done with school, get the marks sorted, and start working. And I know that a couple of years down the line you're going to miss this, you're going to miss school, you're going to miss college. But right now, all you want to do is get done with school, get started with college, then get done with college, start working, be independent. Every time, wherever we are, we just don't want that. We want something else. If there's any one advice that I can give you on this front also, I think for a lawyer, it's great that you guys have 5-year courses. Even for I don't know, Shabri, where you're planning to do this, but in India we have integrated 5-year courses for MBA Pharmatech, wherein you do like a combined degree where you get your B Pharma and MBA where in that. So as if your courses are 5 years, 5.5, 6 years, trust me, man, it's a great time. Just study, chill, have fun in college, because once it's done and you start working, it's a whole new life, it's a whole new struggle there. So even and when you get there, you will understand the importance of this interdisciplinary learning, because that is when these things start mattering. Or probably not exactly then, probably 5 years into your career, when you start with your growth. The first 2 to 3 years in your careers when you start working, you're just learning what are the nitty-gritties of the company, what are the nitty-gritties of the industry, what am I expected to do in the most basics of level. None of us ever want to do the most trivial jobs, but somebody has to, right? And as a fresher, that's you. So once you start with your growth in that industry, you will start realizing the importance of interdisciplinary learning. And that's what this slide was all about. I'm not going to waste much time here. Let's go ahead. At this stage, what can you do to make yourself pally with the whole concept of interdisciplinary learning is try and get into as many things as you can. Don't overburden yourself, but I'm sure as kids, you have the bandwidth to stop watching a little less, like start watching a little less of Netflix, start playing a little less of Xbox, PlayStations, and PUBGs and Fire, whatever those games, what is it called? Free Fire or whatever. But basically just reduce the time that you spend on things which won't help you. I'm not saying stop it altogether. Trust me, I wouldn't have done that. I was a big time Cartoon Network. I don't even think Cartoon Network people watch these days, but I was a big time Cartoon Network freak. But limit your time for that and increase the time that you can spend on these activities, whether it's sports, whether it's quizzes, whether it's MUNs, debates, exchange programs, cultural programs, whatever it is. Spend a little bit of time and a little bit of energy into these spaces. It will not just help you build a profile, it will help you open your horizon of thinking. When I spoke about like your cultural openness, your learning from different cultures, this will help. The more people you interact with, the more responsibilities that you take on, this will prepare you for whatever you're going to be doing ahead. All right, whether it's college, whether it's school, wherever you guys are, it will help you prepare yourself for what's coming next, right? Okay, all right. So quickly, I'm going to take all of y'all through different career options that are there. I'm sure there are more than what I've been able to put in here, but because I had to limit my time, I'm going to touch base with a couple of things that are important to every stream. We all understand the difference between science, commerce, humanities, right? I mean, it must be different for the States, different for Singapore, different for India, but still, overall, the concept of these streams, I think, remains the same, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Perfect. So the most common careers for science students, you can either become an engineer or you can become a doctor and then move on with your life, right? That's the most common thing that you guys, every one of us, not just you guys, we were also taught the same thing. For commerce, you're either a CA or you get into BBA, right? That's BBA, BBM, BMM, whatever you guys call it. Different places have different course structures, but basically bachelors of management. Humanities, you either get into law or you get into civil services. Civil services is, I think everybody understands, right? It's the bureaucrat's job, whether it's UPSC, whether it's police services, whether it's anything. So humanities gets you there. However, let's break these shackles. Let's understand what works for which stream, what are the eligibility criteria, and who can do what. First of all, when we talk about careers in science and technology, there is so much more than engineering, right? The most important, one thing I told you, aviation. To become a pilot, you need to have basic understanding of physics and mathematics. You don't have chemistry, great. But India doesn't allow you to do that till now. I mean, they're coming up with a concept where you can eradicate chemistry from your physics and maths. But till date, we have PCM. So you have to take up a combination of these three subjects if you want to become a pilot. Architecture also, some countries don't require you to study all of sciences together. India also allowed one to become an architect with only mathematics, but then we were facing a big time crunch when it came to competing with global architectures and the concept of courses that was going on abroad. So over the past 3 years, we've changed our system, and now an Indian student is required to have a combination of physics and maths at least to be able to become an architect. Computer applications, you must be aware of. It comes in various forms. You can become we saw UI UX developer. You understand UI UX development? Basically app development, app designing, website designing, web page development, front end coding, back end coding. All of those are computer application based courses. Merchant Navy, again, although Merchant Navy as a career option is basically into import export, it helps in countries trading of goods with each other. But in order for you to be able to implement Merchant Navy, as in run a ship, you need to have a science background. You need to have understanding of physics and chemistry and maths. which is when you'll be able to. So there are different courses again. There's marine engineering, there's naval architecture, so on and so forth, that you guys can pursue to become get into merchant navy. It's a wonderful career. Trust me, if you want to travel the world, it's crazy. Yeah, matlab you 6 months you're outside your house, 6 to 8 months, no responsibility whatsoever. The only thing is that if you're homesick, if you're somebody who gets homesick very easily, you want your mama's food and you want to be close to the family, not go away, then probably that's not the best career option. But if you're somebody who loves to travel like me, I don't even, I'm so, I mean, I feel, I regret that nobody told me about this career option. Had I known that there is something like this, I would have been like, fine, no Air Force, then let's go for this only. But anyway, okay, then there are some options which are new, like ethical hacking. Okay, ethical hacking, we understand, right? It's basically being able to plug in the loopholes in softwares, because more than half the world today is running on softwares. There are programs running the different things in the world. Finance is being driven by software. The designing is being run by software. Database managements are being run by software. So many things. Hotel bookings, reservations are being run by software. So because software is something that's human built, we have built it. Obviously, there is room for error in that. Hackers' job is to figure out that error and hack the system for their personal interests, vested interests. Some hackers can be Robin Hood types that we want to take from the rich and give to the poor, whatever the case is. Ethical hackers' job is to figure out what is wrong with your system so that hackers can't hack it, right? Fashion technology, again, because now in the world of fashion, do you think that fashion only means designing clothes or designing jewelry? Chalo, let's figure out that we've designed that jewelry, we've designed that cloth or that fashion thing. Who's going to build it? Are we sitting on a table and with a sewing machine and making clothes anymore? No, we're not. We have full-fledged systems in place specific to the fashion industry, wherein you are designing and building those kind of machinery, that kind of industry where all of this implies. So there is a whole segment for a science student to get into, which is called fashion technology, which is being taught as a bachelor's of technology course in places. So some countries take it as bachelor's of engineering, some countries take it as bachelor's of technology, but basically dealing with every form of tech. Shalvari spoke about biotechnology. What is biotechnology? It's basically the kind of tech which is being used in the medical segment or in the pharmacy segment. We are not making capsules with our hands, right? Machines are doing that for us. ECG machines are there that is noting your heart rate. There are such small, tiny machines that COVID has taught us that can measure our oxygen saturation rate by putting it on the finger. Now, these machines are not being built by doctors, right? They're being built by somebody who understands the medical profession, at the same time has a basic understanding of technology. So biotechnology, if you compare these two, like fashion technology, biotechnology, it's the same thing. Industry specific tech, which you guys can get into. All right, then there's research and data. There's physical sciences is basically doing, you want to become an astrologer, not an astrologer, astronomer. You want to become an astronomer. If any of you have seen Big Bang Theory, then Rajesh Kutrapali is the astronomer in those 4 Friends. Then there is, if you want to get into astrophysics, you want to understand string theory, you want to get into theoretical physics, or you want to become a scientist, basically, who's discovering new concepts about the world. You can get into that. And this applies to not just physics, but to mathematics, but to chemistry, but to biology. All of these things are available if you want to get into research. Then when you talk about data, analytics, everything, maths and statistics comes into picture. Actuarial sciences, I think the best example for an actuarial scientist, even though a lot of people want to talk about policy makers, the insurance policy and all of that, that's the most common example used. But I'll tell you how does an actuarial scientist actually look like. You guys all watch cricket, IPL, or any of these private leagues,
Yes.
so on and so forth in the world, right? So how do you think people, or forget just cricket, there's football, there's soccer, there must be so many sports. So when we talk about privatized sports and clubs purchasing sportsmen, how do you categorize this particular sportsman is worth this much money? There has to be some maths that goes behind it, right? That this person's performance is like this, he's taken catches, thrown goals, hit harder than people like this, and that his performance. the performance metrics being converted into money. That is what an actuarial scientist does. Basically, seeing the world how it is and looking at it in the form of money. It's looks like a good job, but trust me, you would need to have a very strong mathematical, analytical mind for that. If you're that kind of a person, this is one of the most highest paying careers in the world today, right? Moving on, there's food and agriculture for somebody who's interested in biology, somebody who's looking at working on farming and improve new age techniques related to farming. Life sciences, again, is studying different aspects of biology, that's zoology, botany, microbiology, epidemiology, virology, so on and so forth. Basically, there is a whole world of careers outside except for becoming a doctor. This is not, when we talk about biology, it doesn't mean ki doctor hi banna hai. It means that you have other options that you can choose from, provided you know what these are. The only reason a lot of people want to become doctors is because they don't know anything else. If at a young age you tell them about the different options, they'll be aware about the different options. They can at least research about those options in their childhood. If you tell them about the different options when they're at 12th, planning to write the NEET exam or whatever exam that you guys are interested in, and then, oh, this is also available. If I don't get into medicine, then I'll look at this. So then that's a it's a compromise that you guys are planning for, right? Environmental science is again something which people think is very biology specific, but no, a lot of civil engineers, a lot of architects also take up environmental sciences, because today the kind of structures that we're building, they all need to be environment friendly. I mean, they need to be, they should be. I don't know how much of it is being done that way, but the need for us to be taking care of our environment as much as it used to take care of us has crossed its limits. The number of wildfires that you guys must have heard of in the past year or so is crazy again. So unless and until we start doing something about this consciously, we're heading towards a distant doom. Not to not to scare you guys, but I don't know. It looks like the world. It's not just coronavirus. It's so many other things happening in the world, and it's our responsibility to take care of them. So we need to have a good, clear picture about how these things work. Design and innovation. Again, when I talk about design, a lot of people tell me, sir, I don't want to get into fashion. Who says design is only fashion? Who says that fashion ke alawa, like, or if I talk about innovation, then that is just, innovation means building something on a software, or becoming an entrepreneur to do it today means like running a tech startup. No, yeah. Design, when I talk, architecture is a form of design. It's just that it needs mathematics and physics to understand the whole stability of structures. But graphics designing, any one of you has heard of that? The entire concept of graphics designing, if in today's world, when you guys come to college, or those of you who are in college and will be graduating, you guys will be needed to build CVs, right? One of the best platforms in the world today to build a CV is canva.com. Canva.com, novo.com. These are all graphic designing portals.
That's what we
Somebody
use.
thought that let's make it, right? See?
Yeah.
So across the world, not just India, not just the state, across the world, these things are coming in so handy, because somebody thought that it's so boring to watch Word documents as CVs. Yeah, what nonsense. I want to make it innovative. I want to make it colorful. I want to have this in and imagine it helps you in so many things today. Canva can help you fit so much information on one page of PDF. Unless you have some 10 years of work experience, then maybe you cross on to the second page. But till then, it teaches you how to summarize what you've done, because a Word document, Word document, you build a table also, you have footers also, headers also, so many things, and you don't know what to do about them. So designing is there in everything. Whether you want to build a website, whether you want to build a poster, whether you want to build a CV, whether you want to build a building, whether you want to do interior designing, fashion designing, whether anything. Yeah, like even if I want to do aesthetics, I want to have guests over for a dinner, I will need to have that headspace of how to organize things in my head so that it looks pretty. That is also designing. We don't categorize it that way, or because it's not a job and you don't get paid for it, but that is there. And with the rate at which people are making everyday things into careers, trust me, it's not a long time before this also you can call a person to redecorate your house for a small dinner party, right? Image consultant, again, there was a very good movie. I'm not able to get the name. I've been trying to banter around bushes for this, but I'm not able to get the name. Basically, this guy, he stands up for an election, and he has a very bad, because he's a sort of a foolish kind of guy. So the opposition party sends a guy to rebrand himself. So an image consultant is basically somebody who revamps your personality online, offline, tells you how to dress up, tells you how to the kind of social media presence that you guys should have. Everybody today needs some of the other kind of social media presence, even if it's just LinkedIn. Again, school children maybe not very pally with LinkedIn, but college, you guys will understand the importance of having a LinkedIn profile, because that's your social media for getting jobs, for interacting with companies. So this is another place where image consultants come in. Design thinking, I think I've already spoken about how design thinking is basically being able to come up with different concepts, and that is the ability to design anything and everything in the world that you see. Animation and graphics, again, not something that you guys need introduction with. Any form of cartoon or animated movies today that you see, even CGI. Today you're watching Lion King. When I was young, I saw Lion King. I think Lion King was one of the first animated movies that I watched. And today it's come up in CGI. It looks real. Both, even that cartoon movie was animated, even this CGI version is animated, right? So animation is that, wherein you're playing with that. As a career option, I don't, it's not very well paying off unless and until you're able to crack a very good animating company. Other than that, it takes time to for this career to pay off on a longer run. Healthcare, you have medicine, which is obvious. Forensic sciences, the best example that I give to my Indian students here in India is, anyone's watched CID, then there's this Dr. Salunki person who's always bantering. Oh, even that, yeah. You guys must have seen Flash, The Flash, Barry Allen. Barry Allen is a forensic scientist, right? So if you have, that's what I'm talking about. You need to have basic understanding of physics, chemistry, biology. And forensics is, again, depends on which country you're at, how good is the legal system, how good is the civil system there for it to be paying you off at a certain scale. Genetics engineering, allied medicine, nutrition and dietetics, bioinformatics, they're all careers with interlinked. Now, bioinformatics is a mixture of maths, basically data analytics with biology. Allied medicine is, like I said, zoology, botany, etc. Nutrition and dietetics, again, your study of food and how to consume it, and so on and so forth. Not research and farming, and that's food and agriculture, which we spoke about earlier. Fitness expert, again, gym people, Zumba people, yoga people, all of these careers, and these are all great careers. I mean, if you're able to build a career for yourself in these lines, people are really doing wonders on YouTube and social media, Instagram, and building their own careers over here. Social sciences. Somebody said they're doing law, right? Okay, law is one of the most obvious careers when we talk about social sciences. Other than law, and within law, there are so many specializations that you guys will know about when you reach there. Other than that, I've always, because I used to do a lot of MUNs. You guys know what MUNs are? Model United Nations.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So I used to do a lot of MUNs back when I was in school. And because of that, during my engineering, I thought, okay, fine, engineering is just something that I've taken up because I didn't know what else to do. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a master's in public policy, then a double master's in international relations, and I'm going to work for the UN, and I'm going to do crazy stuff over there, and so on and so forth. So this is something that didn't work out for me, because I realized that I can't mug up so many things, and probably it's not the best case scenario for me. But for anybody who's interested in this line of work, who's interested in politics, who's interested in the legal aspects of things, of how countries interact with each other, what are the international policies that work. Today, I was just going through a case study where this company called ConocoPhillips did a case on the Indian government, and they in the International Court of Justice, and they won the case, and now they're suing Indian government assets across the world to retrieve their money. That was mind-blowing for me. I mean, somebody can do a case on the government in an international court. That was something I didn't know about, but you can, right? So these are things, and who's going to fight that case? A lawyer, obviously, right? So being a lawyer, you can specialize into international law. Being a lawyer, you can specialize into maritime law. Being a lawyer, you can specialize into criminal cases abroad. So a lot of jurisdiction falls over and above each other. There is a lot of misconception also that goes around, that if I've done law from the US, then I won't be able to practice in Australia or Commonwealth countries like UK and India and so on and so forth. These are just misconceptions, trust me. The more you open up yourself, the more you read up about different people doing different kind of works, you'll realize that these are just misconceptions. And the more you want to work, the harder you struggle to research about everything that is available, you'll finally be able to figure out options for yourself. Moving on, archaeology, education training, social services. If there's anything that anybody wants to know about it, please let me know. These are not very, education and training is teaching. Archaeology is basically the study of ancient things. Archaeologists usually something which is entertained in a lot of countries, because everybody wants you to have a bachelor's at least in history before you can specialize into archaeology. Some other careers which are very trending today: filmmaking, event management. Bro, there are Coldplay concerts being organized across the world. There are there is Tomorrowland being organized. And these are just the bare minimum of events that I'm talking about, music concerts. So there's a friend of mine who works with this company called Wizcraft. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. Now, Wizcraft is an event organizing company. The people who have tied up with Coldplay, so any Coldplay concert happening anywhere in the world, they are the guys who organize it. We have Coldplay at least, right? I hope I'm not being too old with Coldplay. Coldplay is this really crazy band, and they come up with music and songs like that. So I was talking to this friend of mine, and I was asking her, and IFA Awards. Wizcraft also organizes IFA Awards. So I asked her that you work with IFA, how great was it? She's like, IFA, Coldplay, these are all tier 2 events for us. I said, what? IFA Awards is tier 2 events? What's tier 1? She's like, tier 1 anywhere across the world for any event company is an Indian wedding abroad. Indians, the amount of money that they spend on weddings across she has spent nights in 7 stars hotel in Spain, in Dubai, in France. Why? Because an Indian wanted to get married with full pomp and show. So that's their tier 1 event in a company like Wizcraft, which is a US based or it's an abroad based, not an Indian based company also. And I'm like, wow, man, like who knew that these are the kind of things happening in the world? So if you're able to make it at the right time, at the right company, the courses that you do don't matter. Just because I've done BBA, so I can't get into event management, or I've done engineering, so I can't get into this and that. These are certain shackles that you guys need to break free from. The only restrictions that I want to talk about when it comes to careers is that to become an engineer, there are restrictions that you need to have science and maths. To become an architect, again, depending on your country, there are certain restrictions. To become a pilot, there are certain restrictions. To get into merchant navy, certain restrictions. To become a doctor, certain restrictions. Other than these 4 or 5 careers, anything and everything is available for everybody. Anybody in this world can become a chartered accountant. You do not need to come from a commerce background to be able to become a chartered accountant or an investment banker. It's not necessary for you to do a commerce background. Anybody from science, commerce, humanities can get into investment banking, provided you've done the right MBA at the right time. There are courses that people can do, online course platforms that you guys can do, anything that is available, right? Today, people are becoming chefs. There's so many platforms. It's called MasterChef, India, Australia, US, here and there. So many careers, hotel management, journalism, everywhere that you guys are all eligible to get into. Defense services, judiciary, administration, and all, again, depends from country to country. In India, to get into a civil services job, you need to first have a graduation. Doesn't matter what, any graduation would do. Defense services, again, it depends on which background you're coming from. It's open for everybody. Judiciary and administration, like I said, you can start off right after 12th in India at least. Even in India, till about 12 years back, you needed to first do a graduation and then become a lawyer. I think US still holds that. You first need to complete your graduation before you can pursue a law degree. So different countries, different persons, but I don't think anywhere there is a restriction on what you can do if you've come from a certain background. Little bit of commerce careers. Again, there's marketing, operations, sales. Entrepreneurship is basically starting your own business. Finance and banking. Also, all of these things, you do not need to have a particular educational background to be able to do any of these things. You just need to have the right mindset and then the right kind of education. As in, when I talk about education, it's not school or college education. It's basically your capacity to do online courses, to do certifications, get yourself qualified to do whatever it is that you want. So the major thing that comes into picture is, how do I do that? What do I do? How do I figure out what do I want to do? Is it by listening to my relatives? Like my son did this, so I think your son should also do this. Or by watching shows across, okay, I think so. Just today I was doing a room on Clubhouse, and this guy asks me, sir, what is the best course to do? Mechanical engineering, aeronautical engineering, or automobile engineering? I said, boss, how do I tell you what is the best course for you? First, I need to spend time with you. I need to understand who you are, what do you like, what do you not like, what is your mindset like, what is your family background like, and then I'll tell you, what's the course best for you. Aeronautics is, I can't tell you that aeronautics is the best course, automobile is not the good course, or mechanical is not a good course. Every course is great, provided you have your interest and personality aligning with that. So just basic things, that if you're in 11th, you need to be first in an 11th standard kid does not need to bother about what admissions will be opening up, what exams am I going to write. An 11th standard kid or a 10th standard kid should just focus on researching, getting yourself aware, figuring out all the different options that are there. Because once you're aware of all the options, you can then start thinking about which one of them is best for you. Because if I only know about 5 things, I will be focusing, okay, in these 5 things, I can do this. And then 10 years down the line, had somebody told me, like I'm doing right now, had somebody told me that this was also there, I could have done this, done that. So right now is the time for you to open your mindset, check out every option that is available. And I'm so happy that you guys are already doing that much better than any one of us could. So just be aware of everything. And then when you come to class 12, you can then start figuring out which of these options is best for you. मेरे लिए क्या अच्छा है? How does it work for me? And what all things do I need to figure out? So when you're doing career planning, you need to have a good discussion with your family. Nobody other than you and your family. Family means your mother and father. Nobody other than that needs to come into the picture when you're deciding what career to get into. How do you look into that? You figure out what is your academic inclination. You figure out what are your skill sets like. You figure out what are your interests like. The most driving factor today is your passion towards anything. Because let's assume that if I would have continued to work as a software developer, it's not that I was bad at my job. I was good with doing coding and all of that. But it was not something I ever thought in my life I would be doing. So zero interest there. I thought it's okay. People start off with careers and develop interests. That is also there. Some people do that. But a person like me, passion was something really important for me to be able to do in my career, which is what I found here today, and which is why I'm doing all of this on my own. Nobody's giving me money for this. Nobody's asking me to do this. What I'm doing today is everything on my own, for myself, because this is what drives me. So unless and until you find out what you're passionate about, you'll never be able to excel or grow. Like, it's okay if you get a job, that's fine. But if you want to grow in that job, you want to take that promotion, grow in the hierarchy, you should be able to do the extra job, go the extra mile. If you're being asked to do 10 jobs and you're only doing those 10 jobs, you're not manager level, you're an employee level, you're a worker level. You do the work which is being asked of you, but a manager is expected to go the extra mile, do the extra job, and then go ahead with that. So unless and until you're passionate about what you're doing, you will not be able to get yourself to do that. 10 things karne mein, I'm getting so frustrated. What I'll do the 11th and 12th thing, yeah. And I don't even need to. Then might as well not do it now. And then you'll be stagnated. So if you want to grow, you will have to figure out what your passion is and try and get into that as a career. Everything else falls into place. What are your strengths, weaknesses? I'm sure a lot of people in your school must have told you about this. You need to have goals in your life. You need to break down bigger goals into smaller goals, try and achieve those smaller. All of this is fair enough. What I'm trying to do here is that if any of you wishes to figure out what their niche is, wishes to figure out. So I'm already running a lot of groups on social media, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Clubhouse, Telegram, this and that, wherein I help students figure out what careers have what kind of nitty-gritties. But when it comes down to you guys figuring out what is important for you in particular, that is where counseling comes into picture. That is where I come into picture, where I can help, I can sit with you. I can take a basic test, as basic psychometric test can help people figure out, where do you stand? Because I think every one of you has used Google Maps, right? So when we use Google Maps or any form of maps, there are two kinds of inputs that we put. What are these two inputs?
Your home and your final destination.
Home. When we talk about home, that's not particularly home, right? It is basically where you are currently. That usually Google detects or any map detects on its own. So we kind of discard that information and we focus on where do we want to get to. So while it is very important to figure out where do you want to go, otherwise you'll just be going here and there, it is equally important to figure out where you are, because a final destination can be reached from multiple locations. What is important for you is for where do you start from to get to there in the shortest and most efficient form, right? So this is what a psychometric assessment or a career counselor does. They help you figure out where you are. The assessment helps you figure out where you are. The counselor after their session helps you figure out or chart out the most efficient path. So if you're only interested in figuring out where you are and I can locate my path on my own, you can just go ahead with a psychometric assessment and figure out what you want to do. If you're interested in somebody helping you derive that path for you from your current position all the way to what colleges are good for me, what courses are best for me, which thing will work out for me individually the best, then you go ahead with a whole counseling process. For any of those things, these are my details. You guys can make a note of that if you want. And my company is called the Sorting Hat Counseling Station. Good story behind that with Harry Potter, if any of you guys were interested ever in reading Harry Potter or watching it. So yeah, that's me and that was my time. Any of you were already 2 minutes over time. That's okay. If any of you guys have any questions, please feel free to shoot them at me. Otherwise, I think we're done, Shreya.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, Aryan, please go ahead.
So you said that lawyers will be out of job and technology will take over. Like, what makes you say that?
So like I said, the technology, I'm not saying lawyers were going to be out of job tomorrow, all right? It's a long way from now. And lawyers per se will never be out of job. The kind of jobs that lawyers do today will be obsolete in the coming future. So unless and until lawyers today upgrade themselves, upskill themselves, teach themselves the relevant technologies which will be coming into play in the legal segment, it will be difficult for them to keep in the industry. I'm not saying lawyers will be out of job. Just because a software is writing blogs, does that mean bloggers are out of jobs? No. Bloggers' ka new job is to regulate these softwares, is to put in inputs into these softwares. No software can run on its own, right? It needs inputs, it needs the relevant information for it to be able to write the most relevant blogs. So unless these bloggers are aware of the technology and they've upskilled themselves to be able to use these softwares, they're going to go out of job, because when half the work is being done by the software, so obviously the kind of pay scale, when you upskill yourself, when you teach yourself the relevant technology, your pay scale goes up. So anybody who's upskilled will obviously demand a higher salary. So when I'm already paying somebody the higher salary to use the softwares, why would I pay somebody extra to work in the menial segments wherein the jiska work is already being done by a software? So like I said, it's not that you're going to get out of jobs. It's very important. My point of that saying that was just to emphasize on the fact that technology is coming into picture in every segment. So everybody needs to upskill themselves in their relevant technology spaces.
So in
Don't
the legal
think,
field, how would you upskill yourself? Like, I agree,
as
you
of
can.
today there is not much that I can see, but I'm just doing a basic data analytics set. How difficult is it for somebody to program legal systems into a software? How long
No,
do you
it's not
think?
about writing down the laws and a judge, computer judge does it. See, we have so many other things like cross-examination, which robots cannot do. And
Why?
then,
What makes you think that robots can't do that? That's what I'm asking you. Have you ever encountered a robot? First of all, what according to you is a robot?
okay, if a person lies, okay, you may have a lie detector, but it's not always efficient, and there's so many
The
nuances
lie
which
detector today is not efficient. Nah. Today's lie detector is not efficient. You think lie detectors 10 years down the line are going to be equally inefficient? Is technology
okay,
stagnating?
so once you replace the lawyers, and the lawyers are the ones who become judges. So indirectly, when once we remove the career of law for the human, so judges are out of job, and once the judges are out of their job, the third pillar of the democracy, which is judiciary, that is out of place, and basically the judiciary is run by technology.
Aryan, see, you're getting into too many nitty-gritties, and that wasn't the purpose of telling you that. If it works for you, I think go ahead. Just keep your belief set with you that this is not going to happen. I don't mind that. My idea was just to tell you that technology is seeping in. It will help for people to be upskilled. All right. As far as jobs coming out or not like people not being able to work and all of that, you don't know. Did you think that helicopter pilot ever thought that a drone is going to replace him? You can just stand at the bottom of a river with a remote control and fly a camera all the way up and record everything. I don't think any helicopter pilot ever dreamed of that. But we're doing that, right? Soon, even drones will be out of the picture because satellites are doing that for us. You don't need a drone. A satellite can cover a number plate from up there. So what do you need drones for? Soon, people may just have enough money to buy a certain amount of time on the satellite, because Indians are very obsessed with drone recordings of their weddings these days, right? Soon, maybe drones are going to be obsolete. You can just buy some 3-4 hours in a satellite camera, and that satellite is going to record your wedding and then send you pictures, and you can make do of that. So nothing that you think about the world today is going to be the way it is. It is difficult to understand at your age. Trust me, I know that. I was this kid. I was fighting everything, status quo, that this is not possible, that is not possible. I've been a debater all my life, so that was my job probably. But with age, with time, you see that the kind of technology that has come into the picture in these past 10 years, none of us could have imagined that. Not my father, definitely not his father. Today you're able to send money using money. Yeah, money is the biggest thing today, and you're sending that using apps. Did anybody think of that? Do you think your grandfather thought for them the only way to withdraw money was to go to a bank with their passbook, get it updated, get it to the checkers list, and then withdraw money? For my grandfather or my grandmother, even the concept of going to an ATM is alien. How can you take a card to a machine and tell it to give you money, let alone using Paytm and Google Pay and all of these apps? So with time, things change. And the only thing that I'm trying to imply is, if you're up to date with these things, you'll have a convenient, happy life. If you try and fight the change, then you're going to get left behind. And that won't be a good space for anybody, whether it's a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer, anybody. Right? That's the whole point. Be updated, keep yourself upskilled. How is that going to happen? I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows. But when it does happen, just keep yourself open enough to be able to upskill yourself. Fair enough?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I have a general question. So, as you know, I'm a computer science student, and one thing I find it's kind of hard is that since computer science is so broad, how do you figure out like what niche aspect of computer science or any big field you should go into?
So I have a very basic system in place for that. I feel that every person who is doing whatever in their life should follow this one basic rule. Do twice the number of internships as compared to the number of years. If your course is for 4 years, do 8 internships. If your course is for 5 years, most lawyers in India, and Aryan, this is for you, most lawyers in India do at least 8 to 10 internships. And that is not to get a certificate, I worked here, I worked there, I worked there. No, that is to be able to figure out of these 8 internships, and don't do the same internship. Don't work for the same company in the same profile. These 8 internships need to be spread out across different profiles in computer engineering. Do one internship in data sciences, one in artificial intelligence, machine learning, one in database management systems, one in cloud computing, etc., etc., etc. You will then get a picture. This is what I liked. This is what I did not like. Out of 8 internships, 6 of them you'll hate. You'll be confused between 2 of them. Okay, I liked this a little bit, I didn't like that much. So you will be able to figure out what worked for you, what did not work for you, because that's the only way to figure out what I like and what I don't like. Reading something in a book, watching a YouTube video, it can only give you the knowledge about that particular thing. It cannot tell you that you as an individual will be interested in this. So if you really want to figure out what, I think even today there are so many platforms where you can do, there's angellist.com, there's Internshala, there is so many platforms where you can do virtual or offline internships, whatever works for you these days. Go for that, get hands-on experience in whatever you're doing. And that is the, and if not that, if you're already in your third or final year, take up online courses. They're not as expensive these days. There's Coursera.com, Udemy, Udacity, EDX, so many platforms that you guys can go on to. Take online courses, online platforms. They will also give you a little bit of hands-on experience in what you can and cannot do, certain projects for you to do. So once you're in that, you'll, again, the idea being the same, you'll have hands-on experience. You'll figure out, okay, this is boring, this is not boring, and you'll be then able to decide which thing to go for your master's in. If you ask a general trend in computers, obviously today, analysts, and more than analysts, machine learning is the game to play. If you have good hand at mathematics and analytics, go for that. AI, ML, the world needs that. So if you're gunning for a good career with, if your interests are scattered and you don't mind doing anything that will give you a good bunch of money, then I think AI, ML is the most hot thing there today. But if you're looking for what will interest, what piques your interests and what will you be happy in, then you'll have to try different things for you to be able to decide that. No other way to do that.
Yeah, I think I might fall under that category because I want creativity in whatever I do, and that's
Right, designing,
just,
you can give graphic designing a thought, you could give innovative designing a thought, that incorporates a lot of mathematics along with design. So yeah, you can probably give that.
Thank you.
Right, anybody else? All right, great. Wonderful talking to you guys. And like I said, small audience, so works really well for me having a communicative session. And thanks for all the questions. Be as inquisitive as you can. Do not take any of my answers to be putting you down, because I really think that the more questions you ask, the better you expose yourself. Without asking questions, there is no way to find out what you're looking for. And at your age, the more you ask, the more you learn, the more you'll expose yourself, and the more you expose yourself, the better you'll be. Also, one last thing before I go, in any career, irrespective of what career you're in, what you're doing today with EBC, Shreya, and everybody else, guys, that is the most important aspect in the world today. You really need to work on your networking skills. You don't need a course to be able to network. All you need to have is good communication skills and the confidence to talk to random people. The more people you interact with today, the better your network. The better your network, the better recommendations you will get throughout the industry, irrespective of what industry you go to. If people in big places know who you are, your life is going to be very easy. So just make sure that what you're doing today with EBC, you do not stop that. Work on it. Try and get as involved as possible wherever you can get the time, right? And build a strong network, because once you start, you learn how to start building a network here at this age. This is a never-ending process. You'll keep doing that in college. You'll keep doing that in your jobs. And once you're at a relevant age, 5-10 years into your careers, you will then realize the importance of what you've built. So that's my last thought, and that's my last thing. Thanks a lot, Shreya. I would love to meet all of you guys again, hopefully sometime soon. And yeah.
We would love that as well. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us today.
No problem. All right.
Thank
See
you.
you guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.